told them and I promised them that they would come, and if I had to go.
Something unusual is happening inside the world's most powerful football organization. FIFA President Gianni Infantino is facing growing criticism over the way major decisions are being made inside FIFA. But this is not simply a story about one controversial decision. It is becoming a much bigger debate about money, transparency, governance, political alliances, and the future leadership of world football. On one side is Infantino, who continues to have strong support from several major football regions. On the other side are powerful football organizations, including UEFA, AFC, and CONCACAF, which have raised serious concerns about FIFA's decision-making process. And at the center of the dispute is a major commercial proposal that could have changed the way FIFA manages some of its biggest financial interests. The controversy began with a proposal connected to FIFA Forward Enterprise. The plan involved bringing private investment into FIFA's commercial structure. Under the proposal, a 20% stake in certain commercial rights was reportedly being considered, with the goal of raising around $4.2 billion. For FIFA, a deal of this size could have created a major new source of capital. But for several football organizations, the bigger question was not simply how much money FIFA could raise. The question was how such an important decision was being developed and who had been properly consulted. UEFA, AFC, and CONCACAF raised strong objections. Their concerns focused on transparency, consultation, and the decision-making process surrounding the proposal. As the opposition grew, the situation quickly moved beyond a normal disagreement over a business deal. It became a dispute over FIFA governance. The criticism suggested that decisions affecting the future commercial structure of world football should involve greater consultation with FIFA's members and confederations. And as the pressure increased, FIFA eventually withdrew the proposal. The plan to move forward with the private investment structure was therefore stopped. But that did not end the controversy. In fact, the withdrawal created another question. If the proposal had already been withdrawn, why were football organizations still demanding answers? The reason is simple. They wanted to understand how the proposal had been created, how the decision-making process had worked, and whether FIFA's internal governance procedures had been properly followed. This is where the controversy surrounding Infantino became much more serious. It is important to make one thing clear. Gianni Infantino has not been removed from his position. He is still the FIFA president. There has been no official decision removing him from office. And despite the criticism, Infantino still has significant international support. The Confederation of African Football, commonly known as CAF, has supported him. South American football has also provided important support. Several Arab football associations have recently expressed support for Infantino as well. That means the situation cannot simply be described as Infantino versus the entire football world. The reality is much more complicated. FIFA has 211 member associations. Every national football association has an important role in the organization's political structure. This is why support from different regions matters so much. A major part of the current story is therefore about alliances. Who is supporting Infantino? Who is questioning his leadership? And which football associations could change their position before the next FIFA presidential election? That election is scheduled for 2027. Infantino is seeking another term as FIFA president, and because of the current controversy, the election is becoming much more significant. Some football associations that previously supported Infantino have changed their position. Several European associations have withdrawn or questioned their support. And on August 14th, New Zealand Football also announced that it was withdrawing its support for Infantino's re-election and supported calls for an independent review. That development added more pressure to an already difficult situation. But it would be wrong to suggest that Infantino has lost control of FIFA. He has not. His support base remains powerful. CAF remains important. Support from South America remains significant. And several football associations outside of Europe continue to back his leadership.
So the real question is not whether Infantino has supporters. He clearly does. The real question is whether his opponents can build a sufficiently strong and united position before the 2027 election. That is where the political battle inside FIFA could become much more important. To understand this properly, we also need to understand how FIFA itself works. FIFA is not simply an organization controlled by one person. It is a global football governing body made up of 211 national associations. The FIFA Congress is the organization's supreme legislative body. The FIFA Council is responsible for important strategic and governance decisions, and the president leads FIFA within that broader institutional structure. This means the FIFA president has enormous influence, but the organization does not formally operate as a one-person system. That distinction is important when discussing the current controversy. The debate is not simply about whether Infantino personally made a controversial decision. The larger question is whether FIFA's governance system provides enough transparency and consultation when major decisions are being developed. The private investment proposal brought that question into focus. Supporters of the idea could argue that FIFA needs to explore new commercial opportunities. Football is becoming increasingly expensive to operate at the highest level. International competitions require enormous infrastructure. Development programs require billions of dollars. And FIFA is constantly looking for ways to increase its commercial revenue and invest more money into football around the world. From that perspective, exploring private investment could be seen as a financial strategy. But critics look at the issue differently. Their concern is that the commercial rights connected to the biggest competitions in world football are extremely valuable. Any major change to those rights could have long-term consequences. That is why they argue that such decisions require broad consultation, transparency, and proper governance procedures. This disagreement is at the heart of the current crisis. It is not simply about money. It is about who gets to make decisions about the future of global football. And that is why UEFA, AFC, and CONCACAF have become such important players in this story. These organizations represent enormous sections of world football. Their opposition therefore carries political weight. At the same time, FIFA has defended its leadership and pushed back against attempts to undermine Infantino. The organization has argued that leadership questions should be handled through FIFA's established statutes and democratic procedures. That brings the story back to the 2027 election. The election could become the biggest test of Infantino's leadership. Until then, the political landscape can continue to change. More associations could support him. Others could withdraw their support. Opposition groups could become more coordinated. Or the current disagreement could gradually lose momentum. Nobody can know the final result yet. And that is why it is important not to make claims that have not happened. Infantino has not been removed. He has not resigned. The 2027 election has not happened. And there is currently no confirmed result showing that he will either win or lose. What we do know is that the controversy has created a serious debate inside world football. The original commercial proposal has been withdrawn. Major football organizations have raised concerns about governance and transparency. Some associations have changed their position toward Infantino. Other powerful football regions continue to support him. And the 2027 presidential election is now becoming the next major political test. The bigger issue goes beyond one person. It is about what kind of FIFA the football world wants in the future. Should FIFA continue expanding its commercial power and exploring new investment opportunities? Should major decisions involve more consultation with national associations and confederations? Should the organization introduce stronger transparency measures? And how much influence should the FIFA president have over major strategic decisions? These are the questions that will continue to shape the debate. For Infantino, the challenge is now to maintain the support of the associations that have backed him while addressing the concerns raised by those who are demanding greater transparency. For his opponents, the challenge is even bigger. They need to convince enough FIFA members that a different leadership approach is necessary, and that will ultimately come down to votes. The next year could therefore become a critical period for world football politics. Every statement matters, every alliance matters, every association that changes its position matters, and every new decision from FIFA could influence the political environment before the 2027 Congress. For football fans, most of this battle happens far away from the stadium. There are no goals, there are no trophies being lifted, there are no players competing on the pitch. Instead, the competition is taking place through meetings, negotiations, financial decisions, public statements, and political alliances. And that is what makes the current FIFA controversy so important. The issue that began with a multi-billion-dollar commercial proposal has now developed into a much wider debate about FIFA's future. Infantino remains president. His supporters remain powerful. His opponents are becoming more vocal. And the final decision about the future leadership of FIFA has not yet been made. The next major chapter will be the 2027 presidential election. Until then, the real battle inside FIFA will continue behind the scenes. A battle over money, a battle over governance, a battle over transparency, and ultimately, a battle over who will have the greatest influence over the future of world football.